Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there? At first, you laughed it off. But then it started happening more often. The name of someone you know well suddenly vanishes from your mind. A conversation from just an hour ago feels strangely blurry. You find yourself rereading the same paragraph 3 times. Because the words aren't sticking. You blame stress. You blame age. You tell yourself everyone goes through this. But today, I need to share something that may completely change how you understand what's happening inside your brain. When your memory drops suddenly and noticeably, it may not be ordinary forgetfulness. It may be evidence that your brain's internal detoxification system is breaking down. And that difference matters enormously for your future. The idea that your brain accumulates toxins might sound strange at first. We usually think of toxins as things we eat or breathe in. But your brain is the most metabolically active organ in your body, consuming roughly 20% of your total energy, despite being only 2% of your body weight. With that extraordinary level of activity comes an extraordinary production of metabolic waste. Every time a neuron fires a signal, every time brain cells communicate, byproducts and protein fragments accumulate. Under normal conditions, your brain has a dedicated system for removing these waste products. But when this system begins to fail, even subtly those toxins start building up. The result shows up first as memory loss. And if left unaddressed, this accumulation can eventually lead to dementia. In 2012, neuroscientist Maiken Nedergaard and her team made one of the most significant discoveries in modern neuroscience. They identified a previously unknown waste-clearing system in the brain, which they named the glymphatic system, working like a lymphatic system for the brain. This network uses cerebrospinal fluid and specialized support cells called astrocytes to flush toxic waste products out of brain tissue. Think of it as a sophisticated overnight cleaning crew for your brain. And here is the part that should genuinely surprise you. This glymphatic system operates at 10 to 20 times its normal efficiency during sleep. While you sleep, brain cells shrink by roughly 60%, creating more space for cerebrospinal fluid to flow through and carry waste away. This is why sleeping isn't just rest, it's your brain's primary cleaning cycle. When you don't sleep enough, your brain doesn't get cleaned. The toxins that should have been cleared overnight remain in place the next morning, clouding your thoughts and dulling your memory. The implications for dementia research have been profound. The hallmark feature of Alzheimer's disease is the excessive accumulation of amyloid beta protein in the brain. But amyloid beta is produced continuously throughout the day. During healthy sleep, the glymphatic system removes it every night. When sleep is insufficient or disrupted, amyloid beta gradually accumulates and over years and decades. This buildup destroys neurons and triggers the cascade of changes we recognize as Alzheimer's disease. One of the largest long-term studies tracking sleep and cognitive decline followed adults in their 60s for 25 years and found that consistently sleeping fewer than 6 hours per night was associated with a 30% higher risk of developing dementia compared to those who slept 7 or more hours. Another study demonstrated that even a single night of sleep deprivation significantly elevated amyloid beta concentration in cerebrospinal fluid the following morning. These findings reframe sleep not as a luxury, but as a biological necessity for brain survival. But sleep is not the only factor disrupting your brain's detox system. Recent research has revealed a powerful connection between gut health and brain function. The gut-brain axis. Your intestines and your brain are in constant two-way communication through the vagus nerve and the bloodstream. The trillions of microorganisms living in your gut produce a wide range of compounds that travel to the brain and influence its function. When the balance of your gut microbiome shifts, when harmful bacteria outnumber beneficial ones, your gut begins generating pro-inflammatory molecules that enter the bloodstream and reach the brain, triggering neuroinflammation. Chronic neuroinflammation damages neurons and impairs the glymphatic system. Strikingly, multiple studies have found that the gut microbiome composition of Alzheimer's patients differs significantly from that of cognitively healthy individuals, suggesting that gut health may play a more central role in brain aging than previously understood. Chronic stress is another major disruptor. When you experience stress, your body releases cortisol. In short bursts, cortisol is protective and adaptive. But when stress becomes chronic, and cortisol levels remain elevated for extended periods, the hippocampus, the brain region, most critical for forming new memories, and converting short-term memories into long-term ones, begins to suffer direct structural damage. Multiple studies have documented actual shrinkage of hippocampal volume in people experiencing chronic psychological stress. This is the neurological explanation for why persistent stress seems to dissolve your ability to remember things that once came easily. Vascular health also matters deeply. The glymphatic system depends on healthy cerebral blood flow to function properly. High blood pressure, uncontrolled blood sugar, and elevated cholesterol all progressively narrow and stiffen blood vessels, reducing cerebral perfusion and impairing the glymphatic circulation. This is one of the reasons cardiovascular risk factors are also dementia. Risk factors they quietly disable the brain's ability to clean itself over many years. Now let's look at how to tell the difference between normal age-related forgetfulness, mild cognitive impairment, and the early warning signs of something more serious. Normal forgetfulness means you momentarily forget where you put your keys, but then you remember. You blank on a name during conversation, but it comes back to you later. You occasionally lose track of a word, but you can work around it. These lapses involve temporary difficulty accessing memories that still exist. Critically, you are aware that you've forgotten something. Mild cognitive impairment means objective testing shows measurable decline beyond what's typical for your age, but you can still manage your daily life independently. People with mild cognitive impairment convert to Alzheimer's dementia at a rate of roughly 10 to 15% per year, but research shows that appropriate intervention at this stage can significantly slow or even halt further decline. Early dementia looks different. It involves forgetting entire conversations that happened recently, repeating the same questions within a short span of time, getting lost in familiar places, losing the ability to perform tasks that were once second nature, or experiencing sudden unexplained changes in personality. In early dementia, the person often doesn't recognize that anything is wrong. It's the people around them who notice first. If someone you love is showing these signs, please encourage them to seek a proper evaluation without delay. So what can you do right now to restore and strengthen your brain's detox system? Let's begin with the single most important intervention: sleep optimization. Your goal is not simply to spend 8 hours in bed. It is to maximize the proportion of deep, slow-wave sleep, the stage during which the glymphatic system is most active. Several practices reliably increase slow-wave sleep. Maintaining a consistent sleep and wake time every day, including weekends, stabilizes your circadian rhythm and dramatically improves sleep architecture. Going to bed and waking at irregular times fragments your sleep cycles and reduces the proportion of deep sleep, even if total sleep time looks adequate on paper. Begin dimming lights and stepping away from screens at least 90 minutes before your target bedtime. The blue light spectrum emitted by phones, tablets, and televisions suppresses melatonin secretion and delays the onset of deep sleep. Keep your bedroom cool. Research points to 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit as optimal for sleep depth. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m., since caffeine's half-life of 5 to 7 hours means that afternoon coffee is still partially active in your system at midnight. Alcohol disrupts slow-wave sleep profoundly. It may help you fall asleep faster, but it prevents you from reaching and sustaining the deep sleep stages where brain cleaning occurs. If you snore heavily, wake frequently during the night, feel unrefreshed in the morning, or experience excessive daytime sleepiness, please have yourself evaluated for obstructive sleep apnea. Untreated sleep apnea repeatedly deprives your brain of oxygen throughout the night and has been linked to accelerated amyloid accumulation and significantly elevated dementia risk. Dietary choices have a direct impact on neuroinflammation and glymphatic function. Fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines consumed at least twice per week provide DHA and EPA, the omega-3 fatty acids that form the structural backbone of neuron membranes and powerfully reduce neuroinflammation. DHA is the most abundant fatty acid in the brain. and its concentration directly affects how fluidly and efficiently neural signals travel. If eating fish twice weekly is difficult, a quality fish oil supplement providing 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of combined DHA and EPA daily is a reasonable alternative. Turmeric deserves particular attention. Its active compound, curcumin, has demonstrated in laboratory and clinical research the ability to inhibit amyloid beta aggregation, reduce tau protein tangles, lower neuroinflammation, and increase levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the protein responsible for neuron growth, survival, and the formation of new synaptic connections. Curcumin's absorption from food is naturally poor, but pairing it with black pepper increases its bioavailability by up to 2,000% through the action of papain. Adding turmeric and black pepper together to soups, stews, or warm milk makes this combination easy to incorporate daily. Fermented foods are crucial allies for the gut-brain axis. Plain yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso introduce and nourish beneficial bacterial strains in the gut. A diverse and balanced gut microbiome produces short-chain fatty acids, serotonin precursors, and other neuroactive compounds that travel to the brain and support cognitive function. Research consistently links greater gut microbial diversity with better cognitive outcomes as people age. Aim for at least one serving of a fermented food daily. Leafy green vegetables, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, arugula, broccoli supply folate, vitamin K, lutein, magnesium, and nitrates. Folate lowers homocysteine, a metabolite that damages blood vessel walls when elevated. Vitamin K supports the synthesis of sphingolipids, brain fats involved in memory function. Nitrates convert to nitric oxide in the body, relaxing blood vessels and improving cerebral blood flow. The brain needs generous, consistent blood flow to operate its glymphatic system effectively. Aim for 2 generous servings of leafy greens daily. Blueberries and other deeply pigmented berries, strawberries, blackberries, cranberries, contain flavonoids and anthocyanins that cross the blood-brain barrier and exert direct antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects within brain tissue. A clinical trial found that older adults with early memory concerns, who consumed blueberries daily for 12 weeks, showed significant improvements in memory test performance compared to placebo. 1 cup of fresh or frozen berries daily is a practical target. Walnuts, among all nuts, most closely mirror the brain's own nutritional needs: plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, polyphenols, and magnesium, combine to reduce neuroinflammation and support synaptic plasticity. A small handful, about 1 ounce, daily, provides meaningful benefit without excess calories. Extra virgin olive oil has emerged as particularly significant. It contains oleocanthal, a polyphenol that has been shown in research to enhance the activity of proteins responsible for clearing amyloid beta from the brain, essentially supporting the glymphatic system's ability to do its job. Using 2 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil daily, whether for cooking or as a salad dressing, is a practical application of this evidence. Dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa content provides flavonoids that increase cerebral blood flow, particularly to the hippocampus, the memory center of the brain. 2 to 3 small squares daily is a pleasurable and evidence-supported daily habit. Among the most critical dietary adjustments is reducing ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, and high-fructose corn syrup. These foods drive chronic blood sugar spikes, promote systemic and neurological inflammation, disrupt the gut microbiome, and impair insulin signaling in the brain. Some researchers have described Alzheimer's disease as type 3 diabetes, reflecting the degree to which impaired brain insulin metabolism contributes to the disease process. Replacing processed snacks and sweetened beverages with whole foods is one of the most impactful dietary shifts you can make. For long-term brain health, exercise is one of the most potent tools available for protecting and restoring brain health. The evidence for this is remarkably consistent across dozens of studies. Aerobic exercise increases cerebral blood flow, elevates brain-derived neurotrophic factor, promotes the generation of new neurons in the hippocampus, reduces amyloid beta accumulation, and improves lymphatic circulation. One landmark study found that older adults who engaged in regular aerobic exercise for 12 months showed a 2% increase in hippocampal volume, effectively reversing 1 to 2 years of age-related hippocampal shrinkage. The hippocampus typically loses about 1 to 2% of its volume per year in sedentary older adults. Exercise can reverse this trajectory. The target is 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity per week. Brisk walking, swimming, cycling, or dancing spread across at least 5 days. Moderate intensity means you can speak in sentences but cannot comfortably sing. If this feels overwhelming, start with 10 minutes daily and add 5 minutes each week. The consistency matters far more than the intensity, particularly at the beginning. Strength training should be paired with aerobic exercise. Resistance exercise independently boosts brain-derived neurotrophic factor and has been shown to improve executive function and memory. Independently of aerobic training, muscles are not merely mechanical structures when activated. They secrete a family of signaling proteins called myokines, some of which cross into the bloodstream, travel to the brain, and directly stimulate neurotrophic factor production and neuronal protection. Greater muscle mass is consistently associated with better cognitive outcomes as people age, suggesting that maintaining physical strength is also maintaining cognitive reserve. Aim for 2 strength training sessions per week. Bodyweight exercises, squats, lunges, push-ups, planks, are effective and require no equipment. Perhaps the most overlooked aspect of movement and brain health is the damage done by prolonged sitting. Research has found that individuals who sit for more than 8 hours daily show measurable thinning in the interhinal cortex, a region critical to memory, and one of the first areas affected in Alzheimer's disease. Breaking up sitting time with brief movement every 45 to 60 minutes sustains cerebral blood flow more effectively than a single, longer exercise session. Bookending a sedentary day. Set a timer if necessary. Stand up, walk to another room, climb a flight of stairs, do 10 squats. These brief activity breaks accumulate meaningful cognitive benefit over the course of a day. Intermittent fasting activates a cellular self-cleaning process called autophagy, the brain's mechanism for breaking down and recycling damaged proteins, malfunctioning mitochondria, and toxic protein aggregates. When the body is not processing food, it redirects resources toward cellular repair and waste clearance. The 168 protocol, eating within an 8-hour window and fasting for the remaining 16 hours, is the most widely practiced approach. For example, consuming meals between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. and fasting from 6 p.m. until 10 a.m. the following day. During the fasting period, water, black coffee, and unsweetened green tea are acceptable. If you have diabetes, hypoglycemia, or other metabolic conditions, discuss intermittent fasting with your doctor before attempting it. Hydration plays a supporting but important role. Cerebrospinal fluid, the medium through which the glymphatic system operates, is primarily water. Mild dehydration reduces its production and flow, impairing overnight brain cleaning. Drinking a glass of water immediately upon waking before coffee or food helps rehydrate brain tissue after the relative dehydration of sleep and supports morning glymphatic clearance. Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water across the day. Chronic stress management is non-negotiable for brain health. The sustained elevation of cortisol that accompanies chronic stress directly damages hippocampal neurons, impairs the formation of new memories, and disrupts sleep quality, compounding the glymphatic failure cascade. Meditation is the most well-studied behavioral intervention for cortisol reduction and brain preservation. Regular meditation practice has been shown to increase gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, reduce inflammatory markers, and improve both memory and attention. You do not need to meditate for long periods to benefit. 10 minutes of focused breath awareness each morning. Simply noticing the sensation of each inhale and exhale, and gently returning your attention when it wanders produces measurable neurological changes over weeks and months of consistent practice. Intellectual engagement builds what researchers call cognitive reserve, the brain's resilience against damage. and its ability to compensate using alternative neural pathways. When some circuits fail, people with higher cognitive reserve show later onset of dementia symptoms, even when their brains contain similar amounts of pathological change as those with lower reserve. Learning genuinely new skills, playing a musical instrument for the first time, studying a new language, taking up a craft you've never tried generates stronger BDNF responses and more extensive new neural connections than practicing skills you already possess. Social connection is equally important. Loneliness and social isolation are independently associated with accelerated cognitive decline and elevated dementia risk. Participating in community activities, maintaining regular meaningful contact with friends and family, and engaging in group pursuits that combine social interaction with intellectual or physical activity all protect cognitive function. Environmental exposures deserve attention as well. Fine particulate air pollution has been linked to neuroinflammation and accelerated cognitive decline in multiple large epidemiological studies. Using air purifiers indoors on high pollution days, minimizing exposure to volatile organic compounds from paints, cleaning products, and pesticides, and choosing glass or stainless steel food containers over plastic reduces the cumulative toxic burden your brain's detoxification system must process. Heavy metal exposure, particularly mercury from large predatory fish, lead from aging infrastructure, and cadmium from tobacco smoke, carries neurological risk. Limiting consumption of large fish such as tuna and swordfish to once weekly, while relying on smaller species like mackerel, sardines, and herring for omega-3 intake strikes an appropriate balance. Now let's address the supplements with the strongest scientific basis for brain health, not as replacements for lifestyle, but as targeted support for those who need them. Omega-3 fish oil providing 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of combined DHA and EPA daily is the most evidence-supported supplement for brain health. Choose a product that specifies DHA and EPA content, includes vitamin E is an antioxidant to prevent rancidity, and has been independently tested for heavy metal contamination. Magnesium, particularly in the L-threonate form, has demonstrated a unique ability to cross the blood-brain barrier and raise brain magnesium concentrations directly, with clinical trials showing improvements in memory, sleep quality, and anxiety at doses of 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of magnesium L-threonate daily. Vitamin D deficiency is strongly associated with cognitive decline. Have your blood level tested and supplement accordingly to maintain a level between 40 and 60 nanograms per milliliter. For most adults living in northern latitudes, or with limited sun exposure, 1,000 to 2,000 IU daily during supplementation is a reasonable starting point, with dose adjustments based on blood test results. B vitamins, particularly B12, B6, and folate, work together to lower homocysteine, a metabolite that becomes toxic to neurons and blood vessels when elevated. Vitamin B12 absorption declines significantly with age due to reduced stomach acid production, making supplementation especially important for adults over 50. A high-quality B complex or standalone B12 supplement at doses of 500 to 1,000 micrograms daily addresses this need. Phosphatidylserine, a phospholipid that forms a critical component of neuron membranes, has been shown in clinical trials to improve memory and cognitive function in older adults. When supplemented at 100 to 300 milligrams daily, it supports cell membrane fluidity and enhances neurotransmitter signaling. High-absorption curcumin formulated with papain in liposomal delivery, or as a patented, bioavailable extract at doses of 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily provides anti-inflammatory and amyloid-reducing benefits that plain turmeric powder cannot achieve. Due to its inherently low bioavailability, there are several common misconceptions about brain aging and dementia that deserve to be addressed directly. The first is the belief that dementia is purely genetic, and therefore unavoidable. In reality, only about 5% of Alzheimer's cases are caused by rare genetic mutations that make the disease essentially certain. For the remaining 95%, genetic variants like APOE4 elevate risk. but do not determine destiny. Lifestyle factors modify the trajectory of even high genetic risk individuals. The second misconception is that dementia cannot be prevented. A landmark analysis by an International Commission of Dementia researchers estimated that approximately 40% of dementia cases worldwide could be prevented or delayed by addressing 12 modifiable risk factors: low education, hearing loss, high blood pressure, obesity, smoking, depression, physical inactivity, diabetes, excessive alcohol consumption, social isolation, air pollution, and traumatic brain injury. This is an extraordinary finding. It means nearly half of the global dementia burden is theoretically preventable. The third misconception is that memory loss is inevitable with age, and nothing can be done. Neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to form new connections and reorganize existing ones, persists throughout life. The brain you have at 70 is still capable of growth, adaptation, and improvement given the right inputs. There are also potentially treatable causes of memory loss that every person experiencing cognitive symptoms should know about. Hypothyroidism produces a constellation of symptoms: slow thinking, poor memory, difficulty concentrating, depression, that can closely mimic early dementia, but resolve with thyroid hormone replacement. Vitamin B12 deficiency causes progressive neurological damage that presents as memory loss and cognitive slowing, but responds well to supplementation when caught before permanent nerve damage occurs. Depression produces a condition called depressive pseudodementia, where the cognitive symptoms are functionally rather than structurally based, and largely reverse with successful treatment of the depression. Certain medications, sedatives, antihistamines, anticholinergic drugs, some blood pressure medications impair cognitive function, particularly in older adults taking multiple drugs simultaneously. Sleep apnea, as discussed, is a correctable cause of significant cognitive impairment. Chronic mild dehydration, often unrecognized in older adults, whose thirst sensation diminishes with age, measurably reduces processing speed, working memory, and concentration. Every person presenting with memory concerns deserves evaluation to rule out these correctable causes before accepting a progressive neurodegenerative diagnosis. When should you seek professional evaluation? If memory lapses are interfering with your daily responsibilities, if you're missing appointments, repeating yourself within the same conversation, getting confused in familiar places, or struggling with tasks you once handled effortlessly, schedule an appointment with a neurologist or geriatrician. Cognitive screening tests, including the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, can be administered quickly in a clinical setting and provide an objective baseline. Brain MRI evaluates structural changes, including hippocampal atrophy and white matter disease. Blood tests rule out thyroid dysfunction, B12 deficiency, diabetes, and other systemic causes. And increasingly, blood-based biomarker tests measuring amyloid beta ratios and phosphorylated tau proteins are becoming clinically available, offering the possibility of identifying Alzheimer's-related brain changes years before symptoms emerge. Let me close with what I most want you to take away from everything we've discussed today. Your brain is not passively declining. It has a remarkable self-cleaning system. It can grow new cells and connections at any age. It responds dramatically and measurably to how you sleep, what you eat, how you move, how you manage stress, and how you engage with the world. The sudden drop in memory you've noticed is not simply the price of getting older. It is a signal, sometimes a correctable one, from a brain that is asking for better conditions to do its job. Give it what it needs. Start tonight with a deliberate bedtime. Start tomorrow morning with a glass of water and a handful of walnuts. Go outside and walk for 20 minutes. These are not small gestures. In the context of brain health, they are acts of profound self-preservation. If this video has given you something valuable, please subscribe and share it with someone whose memory or cognitive health concerns you. Early awareness is the most powerful tool we have against dementia. Leave a comment telling us which insight surprised you most, or what health topic you'd like us to explore next. Your brain has worked for you every moment of your life. Now it's time to work for your brain. Thank you for watching, and take good care of your most remarkable organ.